Let's break down this passage. Revelation 8:10 to 13, the book of Revelation, chapter 8, verses 10 to 13. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter. 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. 13. And I beheld, and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabiters of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. The first thing I want to look at in this passage is the third angel sounding his trumpet. In chapter 8, there are 4 angels that are going to sound their trumpets. We've had the first 2 already. The first angel sounds his trumpet, and there's hail and fire and blood that are cast upon the earth. And then the second angel sounds his trumpet, and as he sounds it, something comes out of the smoke. It looks like a fiery mountain, and is thrown into the sea, and the sea becomes blood. So we have the first 2 trumpets, and now we come to the third. And what we see here is that when the third angel sounds his trumpet, a great star falls from heaven. This star is described as burning like a lamp. Now, one thing that we have to understand is that in John's day, and even today in some parts of the world, oil lamps were used to light the way. In fact, there's a song by Chris Tomlin, the lyrics of which go, How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. In the original version, the opening lyrics are, I walk the lonely valley, oh, how my soul would rise above it all if I could feel the light of love shine on me. When you read these words, do you know what came to your mind? Oil lamp. In those days, people didn't have electric lights. They used oil lamps to light the way. And so this star is described as burning as it were a lamp. And when this star falls, it lands in the rivers and the fountains of water. And so what happens to the water? Well, its name, says the angel, is wormwood. What is wormwood? Wormwood is a plant that has tiny little branches that grow on it, and they are very aromatic. If you're familiar with absinthe, you may know that this drink gets its color from wormwood. And wormwood can be used to flavor drinks and food, but it can also be used to be bitter. It can also be used as medicine, but too much of it is poisonous. And so when this star, this wormwood, falls into the waters become wormwood, which in Latin is called a crux, which means wood. But regardless, when this star hits the earth, it affects the water supply. As a result of this, many people die. Why do they die? Because the water becomes bitter. Now, here's another interesting thought. Do you know that right before the judgment of the flood, in the days of Noah, it is written that the sons of God came in, and the daughters of men came out, and they took wives, and they bore children to them. And the Nephilim were on the earth in those days. In fact, it is written that the name of them, the giants, were called Rephaim, and Rephaim means to be bitter. The water becomes wormwood, which is bitter, and people die because of it. And in the days of Noah, the giant offspring that came from the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men, they were called Rephaim, which means to be bitter. Do you know what I believe happened? I believe that when the Nephilim came on the scene, they settled in the land of Nod, which was in the east, where they built cities. I believe that they set up a society, and they took over the water supply, and they poisoned it with the herb wormwood. And then when this star fell from heaven, it confirmed their death sentence. Verse 12 tells us that the fourth angel sounds, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So there's a pattern here. We've seen the third part of the earth already affected in the previous verses. and now we see a third of the celestial bodies being affected. So a third of the sun, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars were affected when the fourth angel sounded his trumpet. Let's talk about that for a second. How can a third of the sun be darkened? Well, you need to remember that the sun is symbolic. The sun is symbolic of the kingship of the sun, the Roman Empire. You also need to understand that during the time of the new moon, the moon was not considered to have any value. It was considered to be nothing more than dead, cold rock. And then when the moon waxed to full, it was considered to have value. So the moon is symbolic of something having value, something being effective. So when the trumpet is sounded and a third of the moon is taken away, it could mean that the light of the moon, or the influence of the moon, is taken away from the Roman Empire. Then, of course, we have the stars. The stars are symbolic of the kings and the heavenly beings that dwell in the heavens. So when a third of the stars are darkened, it means that their light was taken from them and they no longer function as kings over the earth. These three judgments affecting the sun, the moon, and the stars really signal the weakening of the Roman Empire. And then the angel appears again and he gives notice of woes that are yet to come. Verse 13, "And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabiters of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound." So the angel gives notice of more woes that are yet to come. He says, "Woe, woe, woe" 3 times, and then he explains why. He says, "This is because of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound." There are 3 angels that have sounded their trumpets. There are still 3 left to sound, and when they sound, there will be more woes. Who do you think these woes are for? Some people think that these woes are for everyone, but when we read the Bible and we hear the word woes, it's never spoken in a general sense. Woes are always spoken to a particular group of people. For example, Jesus said, "Woes to the scribes and the Pharisees, woes to the rich man, woes to you, who are like him that received a reward. Woes to you, you blind guides, woes to you who build the tombs of the prophets." So when John writes, "Woes to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound," he's speaking to a particular group of people. Who do you think he's talking about? Well, the context says inhabitants of the earth. So he's not talking about Christians. Christians are not inhabitants of the earth. Christians are citizens of heaven. So if you're a Christian, this does not apply to you. Who else might it be? Well, we have already seen that a third of the waters were made bitter, and many people died. So maybe this woe is for the people who drank the water, and as a result of drinking the water, they died. Maybe the next 3 trumpets will deal with these woes. What do you think? If you've been blessed by this video, you're going to want to check out the playlist on Revelation. Click here to get access to the playlist. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching. Be blessed.